Hello everyone, back again here, and I'm doing a long drive again, so let's get on to a long discussion here. And yeah, I was going to get to this the other day, just in general, another conversation on the way back, and then plans changed and took me all over the place, so couldn't exactly do it. I had company with me and whatnot, and yeah, so that's why this is being recorded later than I expected. So today I wanted to explain the whole thing about what celebrities are used for and why it's so shoved on everyone and you can't avoid a lot of it, and just in general the amount and basically the power that is held over people by their celebrities, and you know how the celebrities, they always have something, you know, they always seem to show up and have something to say about something supposedly going on and whatnot. I don't have a specific topic, you know, a specific thing to talk about, just in general here, because frankly I'm not on the internet or, you know, on TV or radio all that often, but you always hear something or another, and the majority of it's all nonsense or completely fake, which people don't comprehend. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation. Yeah, so basically, no matter what celebrity we're talking about political celebrities, presidents, you know, leaders, whatever you want to believe, or whatever we're told to believe. They're all there for a reason, and it's not a good reason. It's all to waste your time, to distract people, to divide the people, anything like that that can get people away from each other, to get them to turn on each other, to make them think a certain way, to believe something that is untrue, or not believe something that is true, because that's a deeper thing about the news. So it's such a big topic, but I'm going to try to cover as much as I can here. The first thing is, you have to think just in a common sense, where do these people come from and whatnot? How do they get their power? How do they stay in power? Why are they around for so long? Why are some not around for so long? These are all questions that people should have been asking for a long time. And I get a lot of people probably like, well, they don't really matter as much as, you know, other things. And yeah, to a point that's true, but the celebrity stuff will get you down the wrong path for sure. Whether it's you're into music and nothing else or something like that. You know, they always get their stuff in. They have to follow orders first and foremost. So that's their job. They follow their orders, whatever they're told, and they get paid, and, you know, you have to realize they're getting paid by the people who print the money and everything, that own everything. So, you know, in one way or the other, which they're all just pawns anyways, but, you know, they serve their purpose to dumb down people, to distract people, to divide people, etc. So if we're just talking like musicians, actors, athletes, that kind of thing, you see it more and more now than maybe ever. At least it's been, you know, shoved more than ever, it seems like, when I see something or whatever. When I am around a TV set or the radio or anything, it's always someone has to be talking about someone else. The first thing is people just have a sickness to these people where they're so like attracted to them in more ways than one, they're very weird about things, and they act like they know them, act like they know these people, and they defend them like blindly. They always have something to say for someone that they don't know, or someone they claim to agree with, or they have something in common with, supposedly, or I don't know. It's never really been my thing, so I never completely understood it, but you know, that's what people do. Just realize that the repetition of what is being said and done is one on purpose, you know, and for a reason. And that's another reason why people like things, not just a person, but what they have to say, and you know, the situations they're put in, and stories, and you know, seems like everybody now has like these podcast things or talk shows or whatever, and a lot of them, they shove as many celebrities as they can get, from the higher ranking ones to the lower ranking ones, and they just talk about nonsense. Like, there's no point in them. I've listened to several interviews and stuff like that, and it's not anything really relevant. It's just, let me try to get my point across about something that is irrelevant. And then they have them play like their roles, you know. They all have their roles that they have to play on talk shows and whatnot. Oh, they're disagreeing with this or that, or they're agreeing with this, and that makes them good or bad, or, you know, it's just nonsense, really. So, yeah, I think most people understand what I'm saying at this point. One thing to understand is these celebrities and stuff, especially the ones that are chosen, you know, at a young age, that have been around for so many years. Like, I grew up with a lot of these celebrities now that are still semi-relevant. You know, they've been, you know, on TV or music or movies or radio, whatever, for the last 20 years, we'll say, at, you know, give or take. And they were on TV when they're, you know, under 5 years old or whatever, and you don't see anyone else getting there. So first of all, it's set up that way. You don't get there unless you're part along with all this stuff. You know what's going on, you know what's happening, you play your role type thing. So the average person never will get there, which is another reason why they push all these shows about, you know, whether it's music or just the talent shows, whatever. They make them TV shows, and people line up thinking they're going to be the next celebrity or whatever, and you don't get there unless you're part of it. So a lot of these winners or whatever, I would say they're either picked, you know, beforehand, or, you know, they have a plan, let's just say. I would say that they probably are just picked ahead of time, though. I don't understand why people are into that kind of talent show or whatever. Another thing I didn't really understand, but yeah, you can't make it to a certain degree. Like, you can't be on TV and this and that consistently, and on the radio or whatever you want to say. You're not going to get there without being a part of the system, and the system in general is deep. I don't want to stray away from my topic here, so I'm going to just stick with just the celebrity aspect. Another big thing is, not only are they picked and whatnot, and they're shoved into it by their families and stuff, you know, as children, their parents, and, you know, there's so many different topics right now that are coming to mind that I plan to get into at a certain point pretty soon, I would hope. But the thing is, a lot of these people are related, if not all of them. And they have to do things beyond people's comprehension to get and stay where they're at. And everything is predetermined through numerology and different things like that. So, yeah, a lot of them are related, and then they'll go on TV or whatever, something comes out, and they'll just act dumb. They don't know that they're related somehow. You know, all these celebrities seem to be related to other celebrities, and they've been related for hundreds and thousands of years. since the beginning of time, because it was set up that way. So, I mean, that's just another thing that you can see how it's just all controlled and all nonsense. Because, you know, people will go their whole lives thinking they can get somewhere, and these people are just talented or whatever they think. It just doesn't work like that, first of all. And, you know, there's so many different topics to go into, but I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to stick specifically on the celebrity stuff. And this goes for, like I said, actors, musicians, athletes, any of them. A lot of these people, they change their names and different things, and, you know, there is a group of people that they make the decisions in the world and whatnot, and that's just how it goes. And they breed with each other, and they have the children, and they use them as pawns. There's, you know, different ones. You know, it doesn't have to be necessarily obvious, but yeah, a lot of them do that. And there's a lot of different groups and different things like that. How you find your way to a certain level and whatnot, but you've got to be part of the system. Even if you're part of such groups, such as like Freemasonry or Eastern Star, you don't get to a certain level, without being part of it, and you have to get to a certain level to really start learning the really messed up stuff that they know. And don't give these people passes when they do something wrong or whatever, because they know, and they've made their choice. They know what they're doing, and, you know, basically they're in it now, and they're not going to get out unless, you know, the lower level ones, you know, some of them don't really go as far, but the ones that are pushed really hard every time they have a new music video, whatever, they, you know, they've got to have their agendas in their music videos, and they always have some crap to say, and so on and so forth. Those type of people that you always hear of, I'm sure some names come to mind, they're all in on it. They all know what's going to happen. They all know how to act. And I can't even imagine how all these people act on the internet and whatnot, on their quote-unquote social medias, and they always have a stance to make, and always trying to make people think a certain way. And it's just sad because people buy into it because they're so into these people, and these people care less. They think less of their fans and whatnot, or whatever you want to say. They think lesser of them than anything. They don't care, you know, about them. I'm sure a lot of them crave the attention and whatnot, but it's not like their opinion matters to them or how they're looked at, which is another thing, because celebrities in general, like when they have these events or whatever happen, or scandals or just whatever come out, they take their orders in their groups and different things like that. They follow their orders, and if it's their time for anything to happen, then it happens. Whether it's they fake their death and go out to another country never to be seen again, whether it's, you know, to push a violent event, quote unquote, or a perverse event, or, you know, something that would make their name very lesser. It happens all the time. You know, these people sign up for these things, and once they're in, they're basically just property of whoever their people are that, you know, follow them around and whatnot, whether it's their management or their, you know, higher up. It just depends. If it's their family members that got them into it, or other family members that got into it, you know, it's very cult-like, where I've seen videos on cults and stuff where you have to blackmail and stuff like that. They have to blackmail the initiate or whatever, and they have so much stuff on them that if they ever say or do something, they would come out and release it. And it's beyond your comprehension at the moment, probably, if you're new to all this, to some things that they have done and said and so on. So that's another thing that holds them down. But I mean, you can probably imagine if you're a you know, a fan or a follower of someone for long enough, or a sport or something like that, and you'll go, well, whatever happened to that person or whatever? They were real, you know, good or pushed or whatever you want to say, and then they're not around anymore. Well, that's because they probably weren't going along with things, and sometimes they'll be taken out, quote unquote, or they'll have their death faked. You know, there's always different things, because inside of the groups and whatnot, not everyone's going to have the same opinions, and they're not always going to want to go along with everything, and they're going to have their own, you know, issues amongst themselves, like humans do. So that's a very real situation too. You know, these people are power hungry and whatnot, and if they have to, whether it's take someone out, or it's, you know, get rid of them, or it's humiliate them, or start a little feud or whatever, a public feud, there's all kinds of different things. A lot of it, like I said, is faked, which is what irritates me a lot, because there's so many people, it seems like, whether they think they know things or whatever, and they believe in whatever they want to believe, instead of actually looking at things and seeing what's being told to them or shown to them. They want to say, well, these people, you know, maybe they are in on this, or maybe they're not, but, you know, they don't like this person, or they wouldn't get along with this person because they have different beliefs, or, you know, these people openly don't like each other or whatever. They could be best buddies behind the scenes. It's just like anything else. Like, you know, sports and stuff, they go and play against each other and they act like they don't like each other, or they used to a lot more. Now it's the whole, you know, everything has to be one, everyone has to get along type, you know, baby-fied stuff, which that's a whole other topic in and of itself, between, you know, the weakening of society, the everything coming as one. Definitely a topic I want to get into at some point. But that's how a lot of that works. So, in general, you know, just common sense, you gotta think when you're around this kind of stuff, what are they saying? What are they telling you? And why are they saying it? Notice the time, you know, around you, see what's going on. Because some of them don't just come out straight out and say what they're wanting you to believe or whatever. They're very subliminal about it. Whether it's pushing the illness, or it's pushing restrictions on things, or it's, you know, taking away rights of this or that, or telling people that they should or shouldn't do this or that. Just in general, there's so many different agendas and different, you know, things that people are behind. Each person, I would say, at least pushes one agenda. A lot of them nowadays, they just push everything. It's in your face obvious how fake all of the system works, and how people don't get to where, you know, celebrities and presidents and different things like that, they don't get there without being put there. It's not, you know, we can start at, like I said, the presidents, they don't get voted on or anything like that, and then there's people that actually believe that voting matters and this and that, and it's just a waste of time. I'm just telling you. I mean, whatever. And it doesn't matter who's going to be president or whatever, you're going to have the same issues, and whatever they're told to do, they're going to do. And, you know, each president, they have their own little personalities, quote unquote. They do their own thing. You know, you have had Obama, who was like the reasonable one that everyone really got along with and everything, and then really what he was doing was just dividing so many people and whatnot subliminally, and he was pushing so much nonsense. You know, I was a very young person when Obama was going for president and whatnot, but he seemed like one of the first. He seemed like the first president or whatever they really started pushing, where they would, you'd always hear about stuff on the news with Obama and, you know, the president stuff, and then they started putting everybody on talk shows and everything, and then now presidents and these governors and all this stuff, they make them like celebrities, where they're just supposedly normal people and whatnot, and they talk about irrelevant nonsense, and, you know, the talk show people or the radio people, they're all in on the system. They know what's going on. They know to toe the line and whatnot. They have, I'm sure they get questions that they're allowed to ask, and they tell them, well, don't say this about this, or, you know, you don't ever really see them disagree with anything. They just, well, here's your question, okay, blah, blah, blah. You know, say your thing, make people believe stuff, and continue on. And then, you know, people start liking them more because they watch the talk show, and they go, well, I like this president now, or I like this person that is going for president, or so on and so forth. And, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, and then so after all that, it seemed things were peaceful and whatnot. And then what they did was they brought in someone like Donald Trump, who basically, his whole gimmick is he's like the American guy, you know, follow your dreams type guy, you know, not with all this other nonsense and whatnot, which he is, first of all. They're all set up and put there, like I've said. You know, these people have been funded all their life. They've been part of the system all their life. Especially someone like Donald Trump, who is a celebrity. He was literally on TV for many, many years on a lot of different things. And he becomes president and whatnot. And people just find it completely normal that, you know, celebrities and whatnot just become presidents and stuff like that. But he was supposed to be, the opposite of Obama and now Joe Biden. You know, the whole fake Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative type nonsense that people buy into that's not real. I'm only telling you for your own good. You get nothing from it. It's just, I agree with this, so I'm gonna disagree with this, and I'm gonna argue with this person. And, you know, if people just came together and didn't care about any of this stuff, people wouldn't have power over them. They wouldn't be able to push everything. You know, people wouldn't buy into peer pressure and all this other stuff that now we live in. So yeah, basically, people act like Donald Trump was so good and whatnot. Well, he was the one, first of all, that a lot of people don't know of. He was the one who pushed the injections. It's called Operation Warp Speed. You can look that up. And he's played his role before where he got sick and then he got over it. He's done his whole mask agenda. He's mocked God before. He's supported that country that owns us over in the Middle East. Starts with an I, that, you know, they don't allow people to eat McDonald's anymore without being injected, and they make bagels. So look up country that makes bagels. That's the country that has a huge role in things. The people who own that land, which I recommend looking up who owns that land. The one guy was born in England. His name is Jacob Rothschild. They've been, you know, a part of it for a very long time. They've, you know, for hundreds, if not 200 years or so, probably even before that, we'll say at least going on 200 years, 150 years. And they've been the downfall. It's the Rothschilds and it's other families, they pick these presidents and they, different things. Those are the bloodlines that all mix together and whatnot. And you can look up who's related to people like the Rothschilds, and you can see, how it all works. And they print the money and they give it to the people that go along with the agendas and stuff, and then they make everyone else work and slave away all their life to get, to survive, when they have more money than, anything. They can print money. Money doesn't really have much of a purpose besides keeping people divided and, keeping them down, or whatever you want to say. So, yeah. So back to Trump. I mean, like I've said, I don't understand. People think he's like against something or another. I don't really get it. And, he's played his role where he's mocked people, on TV, and he acts like he's not a part of all the nonsense from something like CNN or whatever, when Fox News is basically the same nonsense. It's just a different angle. And they really just say things that are more normal, and they make people think, they look at them differently. They look at things differently, but yet they agree on the same things that really matter, like getting the injections in people and whatnot. Which I've covered the injections before many times, so I'm sure I will even more. But yeah, that was the whole point there. And, he was trying to, quote-unquote, divide the people by race and, nationality, and then it just riles everyone up. And, anytime you hear about the news, all it is this person, Trump, this and that, and he did this wrong we don't agree with, and whatnot. It's like, yeah, because he was pushing an agenda that he was told to do, and, he's been in on the plans for a long time. There's been a lot of predictive programming from The Simpsons and different things that he was going to be president 20 years ago or whatever. So, they predetermined these things many, many, many years ago. And they figure when the right time is for these people and whatnot. I figured they pushed someone like Trump because I think he's in his 70s now. So, to them, they might only have another, 10 to 30 years, because, David Rockefeller and whatnot gets a 7th heart transplant at age 101, lives to be 103. It looks like death. Look like death and whatnot. Isn't it kind of weird how regular people, they can't get their heart transplants and they're in their 30s and 40s. People when they're 101 and they're doing all this crazy stuff, they make it through. Our old president Jimmy Carter, with his inoperable brain cancer that got cured, of course people died on his hands around him. I think his grandson or something, which, that's what a lot of these people are surrounded by. The majority of them, they're surrounded by death if you look hard enough, whether it's a friend or a family member, etc. So yeah, just a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of division, a lot of people just buy into stuff that they need not to, and yeah, that'll get you far enough. Just kind of do your thing, go through life the best you can, try to learn stuff, and try to start working together, and try to stop supporting the system, and be further away from all of it if you can. It's my recommendation. Okay, what? Oh my gosh. Alright, so now, basically with Joe Biden, they got into that whole thing where he was sniffing kids and whatnot. I mean, these people are sick behind closed doors and whatnot. These people are, very possibly just playing roles at a lot of things. But yeah, you might have seen like Joe sniffing kids and different things and not knowing where he's at and coughing all the time and, telling people what to do but not doing it. And, most definitely, I've never seen such a pawn. Like, I've seen a lot of pawns. That's a pretty big pawn right there. Whether he's acting, if he's really that out of it or whatnot, he doesn't know his family. He doesn't know anything that's going on. And then his vice president there, she's all something too. She's been, in on the plans and whatnot for a long time. And the whole point is to put in a president that doesn't know what they're doing, more or less, to make them look like they don't know what they're doing. So then around everything, they just blame the president, because it's not like anything's going to come from it. If, people are like, well, we need a new president, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, whoever is picked by the people, by the Rothschilds and the other bloodline families and whatnot, they're going to have it the same way they want. They're going to keep pushing everything they've been pushing, whether it's technology, they're going to push the illness agenda, they're going to push all the stuff on TV that divides people and makes people actually, mentally not all there. They'll push any of that kind of stuff. I can go into detail at another time. So yeah, now you just see people divided, and you see lack of, a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of nonsense, a lot of lack of intelligence. But you're seeing around, they're not stocking food, they're not stocking goods anymore, they're not letting people travel, this and that. And, like I said, this is like I pretty much always say, I'm always planning to go deeper into detail in other videos and whatnot. But there's a reason for all of this. And then, they act like they don't have food or whatever, and they'll find someone to blame, and then people fight amongst themselves, or whatever. You see jobs are changing, you see prices are skyrocketing, and there's just so much, and it's perfect to put the old guy in there that doesn't seem like he knows what's going on and everything. You don't ever see any of these people out in public or anything like you used to. They're all hidden somewhere, because they know that if people were to find out a lot of this stuff and people would really start to learn things, that they'd stop supporting the system, and they'd stop going along with everything, and they'd stop with all the things they're supposed to do. And they probably wouldn't be too happy with these people if they knew things like I knew. So they're not dumb enough to be all up in everyone's face when they can just be underground and all this. And they've got underground cities and everything, and they can still do their green screens and all that. So why would they not? When they can make their addresses and whatnot. They don't even answer questions from people, and the quote-unquote news people, and they only answer certain questions from certain people, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a good start on that topic. So hopefully you got something out of that. You guys have a good day, and thank you for listening.